Welcome everyone to fan episode number 2, The Divine Winds. For centuries, the people who live in China and on Japan have been in business together. They both shared culture, food, religions, and prosperity. In one fateful year, a man named Kublai, grandson to famous world conqueror Genghis Khan, was proclaimed the new Khan of the Mongol Empire. This empire, which began in the north of China and Korea to the steppes of western Russia and even south to old Persia. Soon, however, he would be challenged by several influential family members who in turn broke up the empire. Kublai Khan would retain his Chinese realm and focus on expanding the prosperity of it. Slowly, he would adopt a mixture of Mongol-Chinese culture. As a Khan of Mongols, he needed to conquer, while as an emperor of China, he needed the mandate of heaven, or right to rule. However, the mandate was still in the hands of the yet independent Southern Song dynasty of China. In Chinese culture, the mandate is God's blessing on the current dynasty. Therefore, there is one emperor of China, and Kublai had not yet earned that title.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Kublai will look for any way to prove his God-given right to rule a united Mongol-Chinese culture. Then, by pure luck, reports started coming in that on the Korean peninsula, Japanese pirates had been raiding along the shore. Using this pretext, he sent several envoys to the rulers of Japan, the Kamakura shogunate. The shogun was a man named Hojo Tokimune. He refused all the envoys with the obvious plans to subjugate his people.
First, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face!
In Mongolian culture, the gods have given them a right to rule all peoples. So Kublai Khan saw it as a disrespect since in his mind, Japan was already a vassal, not answering to their overlord.
You should have respected my authority.
Within several years of these failed envoys, the Korean subjects built an invasion fleet of nearly 850 ships to carry about 40,000 men. These men included Mongols, Northern Chinese, Khitans, who were early Turkic peoples, and Koreans. In the years following, the preparations would be completed and a fleet sailed from Korea to Tsushima and Iki Islands. These islands on the Japanese frontier were chosen as an obvious staging point. They fell within 2 weeks. Thankfully for the Japanese, a lone samurai from Tsushima made it to the imperial court to inform Hojo. The shogun, Hojo, clearly saw Hakata Bay on Kyushu Island as the Mongols' first target. As the invasion force landed, they were met by stiff resistance from the Japanese. Hojo had seawalls built and was already ready with supplies and thousands of armed samurai. Using their elevation advantage, the samurai and their Yumi bow and early katanas was able to hold off the invasion. Eventually, the lead Mongol force, under invasion commander General Li Fushang, was struck in the face by an arrow.
So shoot me now!
This led him losing control of his horse and having a samurai steal it. With this fresh humiliation on their minds, the remaining leaders of the invasion understood that they have reached a standstill. There was no more point to this invasion.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
With more samurai coming and supplies running low, they made the decision that the invasion was a failure and ordered a general retreat. the invasion force got back on their ships and started sailing away from their failures. Then, as if the gods of Japan entered the fray, the winds arose, the skies darkened, and a torrential rain began. It was a typhoon, or hurricane known in the West. It sprang up and nearly destroyed the fleet off the coast, leaving very few ships to return to China. After this great failure, Kublai sent further envoys to Hojo, only for these poor men to be killed.
You have no power here.
It's over 9,000!
This is
NANI?!
This was seen as a great sin in Mongol society, as envoys were sacred. A new invasion was guaranteed. Within a few years of this failed invasion, Kublai would gain the Mandate of Heaven, having successfully conquered the Southern Song dynasty.
It's mine, you understand? Mine! All mine!
He now proclaimed the new Yuan dynasty and a reinvasion of Japan.
Oh shit, here we go again.
In the following year, using the new economic heartland of southern China, he would send 40,000 men again from the north, and now 100,000 men from the south. The invasion would yet again be at Hakata Bay on Kyushu Island. So, about 900 ships launched from Korea yet again with the Northern Army, while now 600 would launch from southern China. They planned to meet up at Tsushima Island. However, the Korean fleet got there several days ahead of time and waited. As soon as they were about to leave, the Chinese fleet soon arrived and problems began. The Mongol and Chinese generals, who were just at war last year, was having very difficult problems in coordinating an organized attack on the Hakata Bay. So they decided to land separately. The invasion force was spread out on different spots of the bay. Hojo, who called for more samurai earlier, was better prepared for this. His samurai held off the invasion for 2 months. Then, one day, out of nowhere, the Korean admiral told every general to abandon the invasion.
Fuck up, fuck up, fuck up, fuck up! Get out!
The generals were confused. Why now? Been 2 months. The Korean admiral told them, "Look at the skies, you fools. This is exactly what happened last time. And if I remember correctly, this seems like a bigger typhoon." So, with a disunited command structure, the separate generals of Mongols, Chinese, Koreans would start boarding ships at different days at different times, not knowing truly when or if the typhoon was really coming, and would they be punished for failure yet again. But then, just as predicted, a giant mass typhoon would rip across the entire bay, drowning nearly 65,000 men from the invasion. And a few thousand men more was captured by the Japanese left behind, thus ending the second failed invasion. Only few ships, yet again, arrived in China. Kublai Khan, the Emperor of China, handpicked by God to rule, was defeated by this little island twice. The resulting shame led him to drink constantly. Eventually, he would lose his wife and his son, the crown prince. To reinvigorate his spirit, he would call for a third invasion, but his various peoples refused. Meanwhile in Japan, Hojo thanked the gods for their kamikaze, or better known, the divine winds.
It's frickin' freezing in here, Mr. Bigglesworth.